GLP-1 drugs like Ozempic, they are absolutely everywhere right now. But the way we talk about them is totally split. On one hand, you've got this high-profile celebrity spectacle you see in all the headlines. And on the other, there's a much quieter, way more complex medical reality. So today, let's unpack that paradox. It really all kicks off with a question that's just taken over our social media feeds. You're scrolling, you see a picture of a celebrity, and something just looks different. And in a lot of cases, dramatically different.
And this quote, man, it really captures the vibe, doesn't it? This isn't just one or two people we're talking about. It feels like a widespread phenomenon. We're watching the shift happen in real time, and it has created a massive public reaction.
And that reaction is almost instantaneous. The public seems to have this one-word, knee-jerk answer for all these shocking transformations. This one drug has become the go-to explanation for pretty much any celebrity weight loss. But you have to ask, is that really the whole story?
Because it's not even close. To really get what's going on, we need to step away from the red carpet for a minute and look at a completely different kind of story, one that actually affects millions and millions of everyday people.
This right here, this gets to the absolute heart of the therapeutic side of things. See, for so many people, the path to a GLP-1 drug doesn't start with wanting to look a certain way. It starts with a real struggle against compulsive behaviors, like using food to try and manage crippling anxiety.
And that's the crucial point that gets lost in all the noise. These are not just weight loss drugs. The way they work, their core mechanism, is that they can quiet what people call the food noise in your brain. And it turns out that also has a huge effect on other dopamine-driven urges. It's really a tool for regulating your whole nervous system.
And the impact here goes way beyond just food. People who are on these drugs report having less desire for a whole range of compulsive behaviors, from drinking and smoking to even things you might not expect, like gambling and constant online shopping.
So for these users, the goal, the outcome, isn't about becoming scary thin. It's about breaking a cycle that they've been trapped in. It's about getting back to a healthy, baseline weight that maybe they had for years before things went off the rails. It's a story of restoration, not one of extremism.
So if these drugs are helping so many people break these compulsive cycles, it kind of begs a much bigger question, doesn't it? Why are so many of us stuck in those cycles in the first place? And to answer that, well, we've got to look at the food all around us.
This is the big one. If these drugs feel like a miracle to so many people, it really forces us to ask, what's the underlying problem they're solving? Is this really just about individual willpower failing over and over again?
Well, it turns out the scale of the underlying health issue is way, way bigger than most of us realize. Using older methods like BMI, we thought the obesity rate was bad at around 43%. But with newer, more accurate measures that actually look at body fat, the picture is so much worse. We're talking nearly 70% of the population. That is a staggering number.
And a massive driver of this whole crisis is our diet. Just look at this. The majority of calories that the average American eats, almost 60%. They don't come from whole foods. They come from ultra-processed products that are literally engineered for us to overconsume.
And here's the real kicker. This is not an accident. These foods are designed in a literal laboratory to hijack our brain's reward centers, making them incredibly hard to stop eating. This whole thing reframes the issue, right? It's not a personal failure. It's a systemic one.
So here's where we are. We have one single class of drugs, and it's caught right in the middle of two completely different crises, with wildly different stakes and on completely different scales.
This is the paradox at the very heart of the GLP-1 story. All the media oxygen, all the attention is focused on this tiny group of people, mostly celebrities, using these drugs for aesthetic reasons. Meanwhile, there are millions of other people using them to navigate a genuine, full-blown public health crisis. One is a story of excess, the other is a story of need.
And that's why this is so important. When we focus all our energy and our judgment on the celebrity story, we risk demonizing a medication that is a genuinely helpful, even life-changing tool for people who are dealing with that much larger, much more complicated public health problem. We're missing the forest for the trees.
So that begs the question then. If the celebrity angle is mostly just a distraction, where should we be putting our attention and having the real conversation instead?
The focus absolutely has to shift. This widespread struggle with weight and compulsion, it's not a national crisis of willpower. It's the predictable, logical result of living in an environment that is perfectly and profitably designed to make people unhealthy. So I'll just leave you with this thought. The celebrity spectacle is loud, it's distracting, and, it's easy to get caught up in all the drama. But maybe, just maybe, the real story here isn't playing out on a red carpet somewhere, but it's happening a lot closer to home, right inside our own refrigerators.